Are you tired of the noise, the endless pressure to conform to a script written by others? Do you sense a profound disconnect between the world's expectations and the silent, powerful current that runs within you? Have you ever felt like an observer, even in your own life, analyzing the patterns, the motivations, the frantic dance of the masses and found it wanting? That quiet conviction, that unwavering internal compass guiding you away from the beaten path. That isn't isolation, it's the nascent pulse of the Sigma. Welcome to Sigma Male Community. Here we don't just acknowledge that path, we illuminate it, fortifying your journey towards self-mastery, unshakable resilience, and a life lived entirely on your own terms. This isn't about joining another tribe, it's about recognizing your inherent sovereignty. The world speaks endlessly of fearlessness, often mistaking reckless abandon for true courage. But the men who truly move without the tremor of external validation, the ones who operate from a core of unshakable internal strength, they don't just possess different habits. They embody a different paradigm of existence. These aren't flamboyant displays for an audience, but deeply ingrained methodologies of thought and action, forged in the crucible of self-awareness and relentless inner work. Today we delve into 22 such habits, the markers of the truly fearless Sigma male. These are the subtle mechanics of high-value existence, the silent engines driving a life of purpose and profound independence. Prepare to see your own reflections and perhaps, the next evolution of your own journey. 1. The Fear Alchemist. The truly fearless Sigma male does not engage in the futile exercise of trying to conquer fear, for he understands that fear in its purest form is merely energy. Instead, he becomes a fear alchemist, transmuting the base metal of trepidation into the gold of focused action. He doesn't shy away from the tremor in his hands or the accelerated beat of his heart. He leans into it, dissecting its origin and its message with the precision of a master craftsman. Is this fear a rational warning, a signal from his well-honed instincts, or is it the echoing ghost of past conditioning, the static of societal expectation attempting to jam his internal frequency? This differentiation is crucial, for it separates wisdom from waste. This alchemical process begins with radical acceptance, not of the limitation fear suggests, but of the raw sensation itself. He allows the feeling to exist without judgment, observing its texture, its intensity, its trajectory. He understands, with a wisdom that echoes the ancient Stoics, that it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. Thus, fear is not an external enemy but an internal correspondent, offering valuable intelligence about his own internal landscape, his perceived limits, and the untested frontiers of his potential. This dispassionate observation strips fear of its paralyzing power, reducing it to raw data. Once the signal is isolated from the noise, the fear alchemist amplifies the data it carries. If the fear points to a genuine threat, he uses that heightened awareness to sharpen his strategy, to prepare with meticulous care. If it speaks of the unknown, of potential failure or judgment, he recognizes it as the friction inherent in growth. This friction isn't a deterrent, it's the very energy that can be harnessed to propel him forward, much like a coiled spring stores potential energy. The discomfort becomes a signal that he is pushing beyond his previous confines, expanding his operational range. The true transmutation occurs when this analyzed energy is channeled into decisive, purposeful action. Fear isn't suppressed, it's repurposed. The adrenaline that might have fueled panic is instead directed into heightened focus, increased resilience, and an unwavering commitment to his chosen path. The perceived wall of fear, under this alchemical scrutiny, reveals itself to be a crucible, a place of intense heat and pressure where his courage is not merely tested, but actively forged, hammered into an alloy of strength and resolve that becomes more formidable with each engagement. Ultimately, the fear alchemist moves towards the tremor, not with the theatrical bravado of one seeking applause, but with the quiet, focused intent of a scientist approaching a powerful, natural phenomenon. He seeks not to dominate it, but to understand it, to harness its intrinsic power, and to integrate its lessons into his ever-evolving mastery of self. Discomfort is no longer a stop sign, but the very forge where his next evolution is smelted, making him not fearless in the sense of absence, but fearless in the face of its presence. 2. Sovereign of the Gray. The common mind seeks refuge in the stark, simplistic landscapes of black and white, right and wrong, success and failure. It craves the illusion of certainty that binary thinking provides. But the Sigma male, the sovereign of the gray, understands that true power, true understanding, and true strategic advantage reside in the nuanced, complex, and often ambiguous gradients that lie between these artificial poles. He doesn't just tolerate ambiguity, he thrives within it, recognizing it as the native environment of reality itself. This is not an endorsement of indecision, but a testament to a higher order of perception. This mastery of the undefined is born from a relentless commitment to seeing things as they are, not as he wishes them to be, nor as societal narratives dictate. In negotiation, he isn't fixated on a single winning outcome, but explores the entire spectrum of possibilities, seeking leverage in the subtle currents of unspoken needs and underlying interests that others, blinded by their rigid positions, fail to perceive. He navigates the uncharted territory between declared stances, finding common ground or strategic dominance where others see only deadlock. This echoes the Stoic emphasis on objective judgment, free from the distortions of passion or prejudice. In relationships, the sovereign of the gray rejects simplistic labels and predefined roles. He understands that human connections are dynamic ecosystems, intricate and ever-changing, filled with paradox and contradiction. He embraces the full, messy nuance of individuals, allowing for growth, error, and evolution without demanding conformity to a static ideal. This doesn't imply a lack of standards, but rather a deeper, more holistic understanding of human nature, allowing for more authentic and resilient connections that are not easily shattered by the inevitable complexities of life. This comfort with the liminal spaces extends to his own identity and understanding of the world. He recognizes that ideologies, belief systems, and even scientific understandings are often provisional, subject to revision as new information emerges. He is willing to hold multiple, sometimes conflicting, perspectives in mind simultaneously, evaluating each on its merits without succumbing to the cognitive dissonance that plagues those who cling to dogmatic certainties. This mental flexibility allows him to adapt, innovate, and perceive opportunities that are invisible to the binary-bound mind. Ultimately, the Sigma's sovereignty in the gray is not a state of confusion or moral relativism. It is the ultimate strategic advantage. It allows him to operate with a sophisticated understanding of complex systems, to anticipate shifts and undercurrents, and to make decisions based on a richer, more complete dataset. Where rules dissolve and conventional maps fail, where others are paralyzed by uncertainty, he moves with confidence and precision, for he understands that the gray is not a void, but the fertile ground from which true power and profound insight emerge. 3. Architect of Invisible Kingdoms. While the world clamors for public trophies, for external validation etched in applause and fleeting recognition, the Sigma male is an architect of invisible kingdoms. His most significant constructions, his most profound victories, are erected within the silent, often unseen bastions of his own mind and character. The currency in these kingdoms is not material wealth or social status, but private mastery, disciplined thought, and the unwavering cultivation of inner virtue. These are triumphs witnessed not by the crowd, but by the exacting standards of his own conscience. Consider the silent victory over a destructive impulse, the moment of conscious choice where a lesser man would succumb to anger, temptation, or despair, but he, through practiced self-awareness, chooses a higher path. Or envision the pre-dawn hour, spent not in pursuit of fleeting pleasures, but in the diligent honing of a skill, the quiet absorption of knowledge, the meticulous refinement of his craft, for no other reason than the intrinsic value of excellence itself. These acts, unseen and uncelebrated by the external world, are the foundational stones of his true power, each one a testament to his commitment to self-mastery. This relentless focus on the unseen forge creates an inner citadel, a fortress of character impervious to the shifting winds of external validation or the corrosive acid of unwarranted criticism. His sense of worth is not dependent on the opinions of others. It is self-minted, backed by the gold standard of his own integrity and lived principles. His scoreboard is internal, his metrics defined by his personal evolution and his adherence to his chosen code. This internal locus of control is a hallmark of the Stoic mindset, finding contentment and strength within, regardless of external circumstances. The cultivation of unshakable composure while internal storms may rage is another cornerstone of these invisible kingdoms. While others are tossed about by the waves of their emotions, he learns to navigate these internal seas with the calm skill of a seasoned mariner. He acknowledges the storm, understands its power, but refuses to let it capsize his vessel of reason. This emotional regulation isn't suppression. It's a profound understanding of his inner mechanics, allowing him to maintain clarity and make rational decisions even amidst chaos. The legacy of these invisible kingdoms is not measured in monuments of stone, but in the enduring strength of his character, the clarity of his purpose, and the quiet influence he exerts through his mere presence. This internal architecture, built piece by piece through deliberate, often solitary effort, is what allows the Sigma male to move through the world with a profound sense of autonomy and an unshakable core, his power emanating from a source that the superficial world can neither bestow nor comprehend. 4. The Belief Deconstructor. For many, identity is a rigid monument, built early and defended fiercely, often without question. For the Sigma male, however, identity is a dynamic scaffold, a structure that exists to support growth and evolution, and one that must be constantly inspected, reinforced, and, when necessary, partially dismantled and reconstructed. He is a belief deconstructor, wielding the tool of relentless self-interrogation not for the sake of nihilistic destruction, but for the construction of a stronger, more authentic, and more resilient self. This process involves a courageous and unflinching examination of his own ideologies, assumptions, and ingrained beliefs. He approaches his internal world like an engineer inspecting a complex edifice, tapping at the foundational stones, testing the integrity of each beam. Is this belief truly his own, forged in the crucible of experience and reason, or is it an inherited relic, a piece of societal programming passively absorbed? Is it serving his continued evolution, his pursuit of truth and virtue, or has it become a comforting lie, a convenient excuse for stagnation? The belief deconstructor actively courts cognitive dissonance. He understands that the discomfort arising from holding contradictory ideas, or from having a cherished belief challenged, is not a sign of weakness, but a signal that growth is imminent. Where others retreat into echo chambers, seeking only the affirmation of like-minded individuals, he deliberately exposes himself to differing perspectives, engaging with challenging ideas not to be swayed by every new wind, but to test the resilience of his own convictions and to mine for overlooked truths. He embraces the profound humility of being wrong, knowing it is the only path to genuine intellectual and personal growth. Outdated paradigms, limiting self-definitions, and unexamined biases are discarded without undue sentimentality, much like a builder discards rotten wood or flawed materials. This isn't about cynicism. It's about an unwavering commitment to intellectual honesty and personal integrity. His mind is a perpetual construction site, always aiming higher, always seeking greater clarity and strength. The structures he builds are fortified not by inherited dogma or popular opinion, but by truths that have been rigorously tested in the laboratory of his own experience and critical thought. This habit of deconstruction and reconstruction ensures that the Sigma male remains adaptable, intellectually agile, and resistant to manipulation. He is not a prisoner of his past self, nor a slave to any single ideology. His identity is not a fixed point, but an ongoing process of refinement, a testament to his commitment to becoming the most authentic and capable version of himself. This constant interrogation and rebuilding is the engine of his evolution, ensuring that his foundations are always rooted in a deeply examined and consciously chosen reality. 5. Alchemical Solitude. In a world terrified of silence, where constant connection is mistaken for genuine community, many individuals find themselves drowning in loneliness even when surrounded by others. The Sigma male, however, approaches solitude with a completely different intentionality. For him, solitude is not a void to be feared or a state of deprivation, but an alchemical chamber where he distills power, clarity, and profound self-awareness. This is not escapism. It is a deliberate, often weaponized period of communion with his own core. This alchemical solitude is the forge where his strategic thoughts are hammered into shape. Free from the distractions and demands of the external world, he can engage in deep, uninterrupted contemplation, analyzing complex problems, charting future courses, and refining his understanding of the world and his place within it. It is in these quiet hours that insights crystallize, and innovative solutions emerge, unclouded by the noise of collective opinion or the pressure of immediate response. This mirrors the Stoic practice of reflection, of retreating inward to consult one's own ruling reason. Furthermore, solitude serves as his private laboratory for skill mastery. Whether it's a physical discipline and intellectual pursuit, or the refinement of a creative art, the focused, uninterrupted practice afforded by solitude accelerates his learning curve exponentially. He can push his limits, experiment with new techniques, and analyze his performance with an honesty that is often diluted in the presence of others. This dedication to excellence, pursued for its own sake in the quiet of his own company, builds not just competence but a deep, intrinsic confidence. Crucially, alchemical solitude is the sanctuary for emotional recalibration. Life inevitably presents challenges, frustrations, and emotional turbulence. Instead of seeking external palliatives or distracting himself from discomfort, the Sigma male retreats into solitude to process these experiences, to understand their roots, and to integrate their lessons. He allows emotions to surface, observes them without judgment, and then consciously realigns his inner state with his core principles and long-term objectives, emerging not just rested, but emotionally centered and resilient. He does not merely endure the quiet, he commands it. He transforms what others perceive as empty space into a crucible of self-mastery, a potent source of energy and insight. When the Sigma male emerges from his periods of deliberate isolation, he is not simply refreshed. He is reforged, his mind sharper, his purpose clearer, his presence radiating a focused intensity that has been meticulously honed in the silent depths of his own being. This isn't loneliness, it's strategic replenishment and the cultivation of an unshakable inner locus. 6. The experimental imperative. Many navigate life as if it were a rigid, pre-written script, fearing any deviation from the expected plot points. They seek guarantees, avoid risks, and consequently, often find themselves confined to paths of mediocrity and unfulfilled potential. The Sigma male, in stark contrast, operates under the experimental imperative. He views life not as a performance to be perfected according to external standards, but as a relentless and fascinating series of live experiments conducted in the vast laboratory of existence. Calculated risks are not seen as threats to his stability, but as essential reagents in the chemistry of growth and discovery. He understands that significant rewards, whether in personal development, career advancement, or the pursuit of knowledge, rarely come without a willingness to step into the unknown. This isn't reckless gambling, it's a thoughtful assessment of potential upsides and downsides, coupled with the courage to test hypotheses in the real world. He internalizes the Stoic understanding that while we cannot always control outcomes, we can always control our efforts and our responses. What society often labels failure, the Sigma male recategorizes as valuable data. An experiment that doesn't yield the expected result is not a defeat. It's an opportunity to learn, to refine his approach, to understand more deeply the variables at play. He dissects these outcomes with the dispassionate curiosity of a scientist, extracting crucial insights that inform his next set of actions. This immunity to the sting of conventional failure liberates him to attempt ambitious endeavors that others, crippled by the fear of looking foolish or falling short, would never even consider. This experimental mindset is applied across all domains of his life. He tests hypotheses in relationships, seeking authentic connection rather than adhering to prescribed social rituals. He experiments with different career paths or entrepreneurial ventures, valuing the learning and adaptation over linear progression up a predefined ladder. He even experiments with his own mindsets and belief systems, constantly seeking more effective and empowering ways of thinking. The result is not a chaotic or directionless existence, but a process of accelerated evolution, driven by iterative adaptation and continuous learning. The unknown, therefore, is not a source of anxiety for the Sigma, but his most fertile testing ground. He finds a unique exhilaration in pushing boundaries, in exploring uncharted territories, and in discovering novel solutions where others see only insurmountable obstacles or dead ends. This experimental imperative keeps him agile, innovative, and perpetually engaged in the dynamic process of becoming, ensuring that his life is a testament to continuous growth and self-directed discovery rather than a fearful adherence to a worn-out script. 7. Emotion as strategic intel. In the theater of human experience, emotions often attempt to seize the director's chair, dictating actions and reactions with impulsive fervor. Many are puppets to their passions, their lives a chaotic dance of reactivity. The Sigma male, however, approaches his inner world with the calm precision of a master cryptanalyst. For him, feelings are not commanders to be blindly obeyed. They are encrypted dispatches from his subconscious, rich with actionable intelligence that, once decoded, can inform his strategy without ever dictating his response. When a surge of anger, a wave of anxiety, or a moment of profound joy arises, the Sigma male doesn't merely experience it. He interrogates it. Why this specific emotion now? What external trigger or internal thought pattern has produced this resonance? What does this feeling reveal about my core values, my established boundaries, or the subtle dynamics of my current environment? This internal inquiry is not about suppressing the emotion, but about understanding its genesis and its informational content. He knows, as the Stoics taught, that our emotions often stem from our judgments, and by examining the emotion he can also examine and refine those underlying judgments. This decoded intelligence becomes a valuable input for his decision-making process, but logic, reason, and his overarching principles remain the generals in command. He might feel fear, but he assesses whether the situation warrants a tactical retreat or a courageous advance based on a rational analysis of risks and objectives, not on the raw sensation of fear itself. He might experience frustration, but he chooses a constructive response aimed at solving the problem, rather than an impulsive outburst that could escalate conflict or damage relationships. This capacity for emotional detachment, often misunderstood as coldness or aloofness by those who are governed by their feelings, is in reality a testament to supreme operational control. It allows the Sigma male to navigate high-stakes negotiations, personal conflicts, or moments of crisis with a chilling clarity and composure. His decisions are precise and calculated, unclouded by the turbulent storms of reactive emotional states. This doesn't mean he is unfeeling. Rather, he feels deeply but acts wisely, his actions guided by a higher faculty than transient emotional impulses. Ultimately, by treating emotion as strategic intel, the Sigma male gains a profound advantage. He learns to trust his intuition while verifying its signals with rational thought. He becomes more attuned to the subtle cues in his environment and in his interactions with others, capable of perceiving underlying currents that remain invisible to the emotionally reactive. This self-mastery transforms his emotional landscape from a potential battlefield into a rich source of data, empowering him to act with foresight, wisdom, and an effectiveness that seems almost effortless to the untrained eye. 8. The herd observer, silent opt-out. The Sigma male possesses a unique vantage point, often standing at the periphery of the bustling human anthill. He sees the herd moving, the frantic scramble for fleeting status, the comforting but ultimately constricting hum of conformity, the endless chase for external validation that defines so many lives. He observes these patterns not with overt disdain or a burning desire to convert the masses, but with a calm, analytical detachment. And from this place of understanding he makes a conscious, unequivocal choice. He simply steps off the relentlessly moving treadmill. This rejection of the herd mentality is not a theatrical rebellion performed for an audience, nor is it accompanied by a lengthy manifesto detailing its perceived flaws. There are no dramatic pronouncements of separation, no ostentatious displays of nonconformity designed to provoke or impress. The Sigma's opt-out is silent, absolute, and deeply rooted in a profound sense of self-possession and an unwavering commitment to his own authentic path. He doesn't need to announce his departure because his validation comes from within, not from the approval or disapproval of the collective. He understands the allure of the herd, the perceived safety in numbers, the shared narratives that provide a sense of belonging, the ease of following pre-approved scripts. He doesn't necessarily condemn those who find solace there, for he recognizes the powerful human need for connection and certainty. However, he also perceives the inherent trade-offs: the surrender of individual thought, the dilution of personal ambition, the slow erosion of one's unique potential in exchange for the comfortable anesthesia of fitting in. And for him that price is far too high. His energy therefore flows inward, not outward. Instead of expending vital force trying to climb a social ladder he never asked for, or seeking applause from a crowd whose values he doesn't share, he invests that energy in building authentic internal power. This involves the cultivation of his intellect, the honing of his skills, the strengthening of his character, and the pursuit of purposes that resonate deeply with his core being. His presence, though often understated, becomes a quiet testament to a different way of being, a subtle challenge to the unexamined assumptions of the mainstream. The silent opt-out of the Sigma male is not about isolation for its own sake, but about the preservation of his sovereignty and the focused application of his life force. He may interact with the herd, navigate its structures when necessary, but he is never truly of it. His compass is internal, his allegiance is to his own conscience and his self-determined values, allowing him to move through the world with a rare and powerful autonomy, unswayed by the tides of popular opinion or the clamor of the crowd. 9. Redefiner of success, the anti-blueprint. Society offers a pre-packaged blueprint for success, a checklist of conspicuous achievements. The prestigious degree, the corner office, the accumulation of material wealth, the carefully curated public image. These are the milestones that many chase relentlessly, often without questioning their intrinsic worth. The Sigma male, however, is a radical redefiner of success. He takes society's well-worn templates, examines them with a critical eye, and more often than not, discards them in favor of architecting his own unique and deeply personal definition of a life well lived. This redefinition begins with an honest and often challenging internal interrogation. What truly matters to me? Is it the untethered freedom to pursue my passions over the gilded cage of a high-paying but soul-crushing job? Is it the profound satisfaction of authentic creation, even if it garners no widespread applause, over the fleeting dopamine hits of social media validation? Is it the cultivation of a few deep, meaningful connections over the maintenance of a vast but superficial network? His answers to these questions form the bedrock of his personal anti-blueprint. This internal clarity grants the Sigma male the ruthless courage to walk away from situations, opportunities, and even relationships that, while appearing attractive or desirable by conventional standards, are fundamentally misaligned with his core values and self-authored purpose. He can decline the prestigious promotion if it means sacrificing his autonomy, end a draining relationship even if it incurs social disapproval, or abandon a conventional career path to forge his own, often amidst the bewildered stares and unsolicited advice of those still tethered to the collective script. This ability to detach from external expectations is a hallmark of his inner strength, echoing the Stoic ideal of living in accordance with one's own nature and reason. His success is therefore measured not in dollars or titles, but in less tangible yet far more resonant currencies: integrity, autonomy, personal growth, and the relentless, often challenging pursuit of a purpose that gives his life meaning and direction. It's about the quality of his experiences, the depth of his understanding, and the alignment between his actions and his convictions. His triumphs are often quiet, internal victories, mastering a difficult skill, overcoming a personal limitation, making a positive impact in a way that aligns with his principles. Ultimately, for the redefiner of success, life is not about reaching a predetermined peak defined by others. It's about the sovereignty of the entire climb. It's about designing the journey itself, choosing the mountains to scale, and defining what constitutes a summit on his own terms. This approach requires immense self-awareness, unwavering conviction, and a willingness to forge a path where no clear trail exists. But the reward is a life of unparalleled authenticity and profound personal fulfillment. 10. The Fluidity Principle, Radical Adaptability. In a world that is constantly changing, often in unpredictable ways, rigidity is a direct path to obsolescence and extinction. The animal that cannot adapt to a shifting environment perishes. the institution that cannot evolve with the times crumbles. The Sigma male understands this fundamental truth and therefore embodies the fluidity principle, a state of radical adaptability that allows him to not just survive, but to thrive amidst uncertainty and flux. He moves like water, formless yet powerful, capable of fitting any container or carving new paths through resistant stone. For the Sigma who embraces fluidity, plans are not rigid iron cages, but flexible hypotheses, constantly tested and refined in the laboratory of real-world experience. Identities are not fixed, immutable statues, but evolving constructs, skins to be shed when they no longer serve his growth or accurately reflect his current understanding. Goals are treated as waypoints on a larger journey, not as unyielding, fixed stars that blind him to emergent opportunities or necessary course corrections. This mindset is deeply aligned with the Stoic acceptance of what we cannot control, focusing instead on our capacity to respond with wisdom and flexibility. When the terrain of his life shifts unexpectedly, a career setback, a change in market dynamics, a personal challenge, he doesn't waste precious energy digging in his heels, lamenting the change, or clinging to outdated strategies. Instead, he flows with the new reality. He pivots his approach, reallocates his resources, and repurposes his skills with a breathtaking speed and efficiency that often leaves more rigid thinkers bewildered. Setbacks are not perceived as definitive failures that halt his progress, but as critical system updates, providing valuable feedback that allows for recalibration and strengthening. This radical adaptability is not born from indecision or a lack of conviction. On the contrary, it is rooted in a deep, unwavering commitment to his core purpose and fundamental principles. It is this solid inner core that allows him the flexibility to change his tactics, his methods, and even his intermediate goals without losing his essential direction. He understands that the path to a significant long-term objective is rarely a straight line, and that the ability to navigate detours and overcome obstacles with creative solutions is paramount. The Sigma male thrives in chaos, not by futilely resisting its inherent unpredictability, but by becoming an unstoppable current within it. He transforms turbulent energy into momentum, using challenges as opportunities to innovate and to demonstrate his resilience. This fluidity principle allows him to remain effective, relevant, and in control of his own trajectory, constantly moving towards his self-defined objectives, no matter how much the external world may churn and change around him. He is the calm eye within the storm, adapting, evolving, and always advancing. 11. Predatory Patience. In an age of instant gratification where quick wins are lauded and the slow burn of meaningful achievement is often overlooked, the Sigma male distinguishes himself through an uncommon and potent trait: predatory patience. He understands that true impact, lasting results, and significant leverage are rarely products of frantic, reactive energy. Instead, they are often cultivated in periods of deliberate silence, meticulous observation, and strategic positioning, much like an apex predator that waits, watches, and conserves its energy for the perfect, decisive moment to strike. This is not the passive waiting of indecision or lethargy. It is an active, engaged patience, a period of intense internal and external reconnaissance. While the herd may be scrambling for immediate but superficial gains, or panicking in response to short-term fluctuations, the Sigma is often unseen, quietly cultivating his strengths, deepening his knowledge, and building unassailable foundations. He is studying the terrain, understanding the dynamics at play, and identifying the precise leverage points that will yield the maximum impact with the minimum necessary expenditure of force. Predatory patience involves a profound rejection of the societal pressure to be constantly busy, or to demonstrate constant outward motion. The Sigma recognizes that much of this busyness is unproductive noise, a frantic churning that accomplishes little of lasting value. He is comfortable with stillness, with periods of deep thought and preparation that might appear to others as inactivity. Yet, it is in these moments that he is often doing his most critical work, strategizing, planning, and allowing complex ideas to incubate and mature. This aligns with the Stoic virtue of acting with careful deliberation and purpose, rather than impulsive reaction. When the meticulously prepared moment for action finally arrives, The Sigma's move is often swift, decisive, and devastatingly effective. To the casual observer, his success might appear effortless, almost serendipitous. They do not see the countless hours of unseen preparation, the patient observation, the disciplined waiting that preceded the strike. They only witness the outcome, the goal achieved, the problem solved, the opportunity seized with uncanny precision. His actions carry such weight precisely because they are backed by a deep reserve of focused energy and well-considered strategy. Ultimately, predatory patience allows the Sigma male to harvest results that others, in their haste and lack of foresight, couldn't even conceive of planting. He plays the long game, understanding that the most substantial rewards often accrue to those who have the discipline to resist the allure of the immediate and the wisdom to invest in the patient cultivation of overwhelming advantage. His silence is not emptiness, it is the coiled spring, the gathered storm, the focused intent of a mind that sees beyond the horizon of the now. 12. The Context Chameleon. The Sigma male navigates the multifaceted human landscape with a remarkable ability to resonate with diverse environments and individuals, yet he achieves this without ever losing the integrity of his core frequency. He is a context chameleon, capable of reading rooms, interpreting subtle social cues, and understanding the shifting dynamics of human interaction with a preternatural acuity. This allows him to adapt his surface presentation for strategic effect, be it in negotiation, deflection, information gathering, or the subtle art of gaining trust, while his inner self, his fundamental principles and observational awareness, remains untouched and sovereign. This ability is not a manifestation of inauthenticity or a deceitful shape-shifting. Rather, it is a form of advanced social thermodynamics. The Sigma understands that different contexts call for different modes of interaction, much like different environments require different attire. He can absorb the ambient social energy, understand its prevailing currents, and subtly redirect or reflect it in a way that serves his purpose, all without being consumed or fundamentally altered by the environment itself. This is akin to a diplomat who can speak multiple languages and understand various cultures to achieve his objectives, yet remains steadfastly representative of his own nation's core interests. In a business meeting, he might adopt a posture of focused intensity, mirroring the language and concerns of his counterparts to build rapport and facilitate agreement. In a casual social setting, he might display a more relaxed and approachable demeanor to put others at ease or to observe group dynamics more effectively. When confronted with aggression or manipulation, he can become a reflective surface, deflecting negative energy without internalizing it, maintaining his composure and strategic advantage. This adaptability ensures he is never out of his depth, regardless of the social waters he navigates. The key to this chameleon-like ability is the unshakable stability of his inner core. Because he is not reliant on external validation or defined by the opinions of others, he can experiment with different interaction styles without fearing a loss of self. His identity is not tethered to any particular social mask. These are merely tools he employs with conscious intent. Beneath the adaptable surface is a mind that is constantly observing, analyzing, and calculating, always aligned with his overarching goals and guided by his internal moral compass, reflecting a stoic emphasis on maintaining inner consistency regardless of external pressures. The context chameleon, therefore, moves through diverse worlds with a quiet confidence, adaptable on the surface but immutable at the center. This strategic flexibility allows him to engage effectively across a wide spectrum of human experience, to gather information, build alliances, and navigate complex social structures, all while preserving his autonomy and advancing his self-determined objectives. He is a master of his own presentation, using it as a tool, not as a defining cage. 13. Resource Alchemist, Scarcity to Advantage. Where the average individual sees lack, limitation, and insurmountable obstacles, the Sigma male perceives raw material, creative challenge, and the catalyst for ingenious solutions. He is a resource alchemist, possessing an almost magical ability to transmute adversity, setbacks, and perceived weaknesses into sources of fuel, profound insight, and unexpected leverage. Constraints are not, for him, the boundaries of his potential, but the very conditions that force him to dig deeper, think smarter, and operate with heightened efficiency and creativity. Consider a scenario of limited time. For many, this induces panic, rushed work, and compromised quality. For the resource alchemist, a tight deadline forges ruthless efficiency. It compels him to eliminate non-essential tasks, to focus with laser-like precision on what truly matters, and to innovate streamlined processes. The pressure of scarcity doesn't diminish his output, it refines it. Similarly, when faced with scarce material resources, he doesn't concede defeat. He is driven to discover unconventional solutions, to repurpose existing assets, and to invent what he cannot readily acquire. This mindset turns potential deficits into powerful drivers of innovation. Opposition and adversity, which might break the spirit of others, serve as invaluable pressure testing for the Sigma. He views challenges not as personal attacks or misfortunes, but as opportunities to strengthen his resolve, to test the limits of his capabilities, and to gain a clearer understanding of his own resilience. Each obstacle overcome is not just a victory, but a refinement of his character and a confirmation of his inner strength, much like the Stoic view that challenges are opportunities to practice virtue. He understands that smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. This alchemical ability extends to perceived personal weaknesses. Instead of lamenting a supposed flaw, the Sigma analyzes it. Can it be transformed into a strength? Can it be compensated for through the development of other skills? Or can it offer a unique perspective that becomes an advantage in itself? He approaches his own makeup with the same inventive resourcefulness he applies to external circumstances, constantly seeking ways to optimize his internal assets and mitigate liabilities, often turning what others might see as a disadvantage into a distinctive edge. Ultimately, the resource alchemist's power grows not despite the challenges and limitations he faces, but directly because of them. He has cultivated a mindset that refuses to be victimized by circumstance, choosing instead to engage creatively and strategically with whatever reality presents. This capacity to forge strength within the very fire of limitation, to find advantage in scarcity, and to transform obstacles into stepping stones is a core element of his formidable independence and his ability to achieve remarkable outcomes with an economy of apparent means. 14. The Unassailable Boundary. In a world that constantly seeks to encroach upon one's time, energy, and attention, the Sigma male understands that the preservation of his operational integrity and inner sanctum is paramount. His no is not a hesitant suggestion or a point of negotiation. It is a force field articulated with calm, quiet finality. Emotional pleas designed to manipulate, guilt trips woven to extract unwilling compliance, and the immense pressure of social expectation. These common tactics of influence break harmlessly against the immovable inner citadel he has meticulously constructed and fiercely defends. This clarity in defining his personal space, his productive time, and his emotional energy is not born from hostility or a lack of empathy. Rather, it stems from a profound understanding of his own resources and a disciplined commitment to allocating them effectively towards his chosen purposes. He recognizes that without impregnable boundaries, his focus will inevitably dissipate, his vital energy will bleed away into unproductive engagements, and his hard-won sovereignty will be compromised by the endless demands and distractions of the external world. The articulation of these boundaries is rarely aggressive or confrontational. The Sigma male doesn't need to raise his voice or engage in lengthy justifications. His refusal is often delivered with a quiet courtesy that somehow underscores its absolute nature. It's a simple statement of fact, a reflection of his internal constitution, as unarguable as a law of physics. This calm assertion of his limits often disarms those who rely on emotional escalation or persistent pressure, as they find no purchase, no crack in his resolve. This mirrors the Stoic ideal of maintaining inner peace and rational judgment, unswayed by external agitation. Protecting his inner sanctum is a non-negotiable aspect of his existence. This sanctuary is where he refines his thoughts, hones his skills, recharges his energy, and maintains connection with his core self. To allow it to be constantly invaded by unsolicited intrusions or diluted by external priorities would be akin to a craftsman allowing his workshop to be overrun, or a scholar permitting his library to be defiled. The quality of his output, whether intellectual, creative, or strategic, is directly proportional to the integrity of this protected space. Consequently, the unassailable boundary is not merely a defensive mechanism. It is an essential prerequisite for the Sigma's effectiveness and his sustained pursuit of excellence. By saying no with clarity and conviction to that which does not align with his purpose or respect his autonomy, he creates the necessary space to say yes to the endeavors that truly matter, ensuring that his life is a reflection of his own deliberate choices, not a reaction to the intrusive demands of others. 15. Legacy Architect Beyond Ego. While many are preoccupied with the immediate gratification of achievements that bolster their ego or enhance their current status, the Sigma male often operates on a different timescale, thinking in terms of tectonic shifts rather than fleeting tremors. He is a legacy architect, and his actions are frequently calibrated not for the ephemeral applause of the present moment, but for an enduring impact that has the potential to transcend his physical presence and resonate long after he is gone. His focus is less on building a monument to himself and more on setting in motion systems, ideas, or empowering influences that outlive him. This perspective requires a significant detachment from ego-driven desires for personal recognition. The legacy architect is more interested in asking, what enduring systems can I help create or improve that will benefit others? What fundamental knowledge or timeless wisdom can I crystallize and pass on in a way that empowers future generations? What genuine empowerment can I catalyze in individuals or communities that will enable them to thrive independently? His satisfaction comes from the act of building and contributing, rather than from the accolades received. This approach reflects a mature understanding of influence, akin to the Stoic emphasis on contributing to the common good as a natural expression of a virtuous life. His work is often characterized by the quiet, methodical patience of a master mason shaping the stones of a cathedral they know they may never see completed. He lays foundations, be they intellectual, structural, or ethical, with meticulous care, understanding that the strength and longevity of the entire edifice depend on the integrity of these unseen beginnings. This might manifest as mentorship that shapes future leaders, the creation of resources that solve persistent problems, or the championing of principles that elevate standards of thought and behavior. The legacy envisioned by the Sigma male is rarely a static monument bearing his name. Instead, it is a dynamic ripple effect, a chain reaction of empowered thought, innovative solutions, and elevated human potential. He seeks to embed value into the world in such a way that it continues to generate positive outcomes organically. This could be through writing that inspires critical thinking, businesses that operate on ethical principles and create sustainable value, or simply by living a life of such profound integrity and purpose that it serves as a quiet but powerful example. Therefore, the legacy architect, beyond ego, is not driven by a desire for posthumous fame in the conventional sense. His motivation is the intrinsic reward of contributing something of lasting worth, of playing a part in the larger human endeavor in a way that is meaningful and constructive. He builds not for his own glory but for the continuity of progress and the empowerment of those who will follow, understanding that true legacy is measured by the positive impact one initiates, not by the name attached to it. 16. Intentional amnesia. The human mind has a tendency to cling to the past, to nurse grudges, to replay failures, to be haunted by outdated narratives about oneself and the world. This mental baggage can become incredibly heavy, tethering individuals to pain and limiting their capacity for present joy and future growth. The Sigma male, however, practices a form of intentional amnesia, wielding selective forgetting not as an act of denial, but as a surgeon's scalpel, precisely excising that which no longer serves his evolution and well-being. Grudges and resentments, for instance, are recognized for what they are, self-administered poison. The Sigma understands that holding on to bitterness towards another person primarily harms himself, consuming mental and emotional energy that could be far better invested. He makes a conscious decision to release these toxic attachments, not necessarily by condoning past wrongs, but by refusing to allow them to continue to occupy precious space in his inner world. This act of letting go is a profound form of self-liberation, echoing Stoic principles of focusing on one's own inner state rather than being disturbed by the actions of others. Similarly, past failures are not allowed to fester into chronic sources of shame or self-doubt. The Sigma male is adept at extracting the essential lessons from any setback. The strategic miscalculations, the flawed assumptions, the areas needing improvement. Once this valuable data has been assimilated, the emotional residue of the failure itself is deliberately purged. He refuses to define himself by his past mistakes, understanding that they are merely data points on the journey of growth, not final verdicts on his worth or potential. Outdated narratives about himself, often internalized from past experiences or societal conditioning, are also subjected to this process of intentional amnesia. Beliefs like, "I'm not good at X," or "I always fail when Y happens," are critically examined. If found to be limiting and no longer true, or perhaps never true in the first place, they are consciously erased and actively rewritten with more empowering and accurate self-assessments based on his current capabilities and aspirations. This requires ongoing self-awareness and a commitment to mental discipline. This conscious release of detrimental mental clutter creates immense bandwidth. By refusing to let the ghosts of yesterday haunt the potential of today and tomorrow, the Sigma male frees up his cognitive resources and emotional energy. This allows him to engage more fully with the present moment, to perceive new opportunities with greater clarity, and to approach future challenges unburdened by the dead weight of what no longer serves his purposeful journey towards self-mastery and continued evolution. 17. The Pressure Diamond. Many individuals crumble when subjected to intense external chaos or mounting pressure. Deadlines loom, conflicts erupt, high stakes induce paralysis, and their performance plummets as their composure shatters. The Sigma male, however, often experiences a counterintuitive phenomenon. Under such conditions he doesn't fracture, he crystallizes. External pressure for him is not a force that crushes, but one that refines, transforming the carbon of his potential into the diamond of hyperclarity and peak performance. Adversity is the crucible where his true metal is not just revealed, but forged. When the stakes are highest and the environment most turbulent, the Sigma often enters a state of heightened focus, a flow state where distractions fade and his cognitive abilities sharpen. The very forces that overwhelm others seem to strip away the superfluous for him, leaving only the essential tasks and the most direct path to a solution. His decision-making becomes more rapid, more precise, and more intuitive, as if the pressure itself compresses his awareness into a laser-like beam. This isn't to say he enjoys chaos, but he is uniquely engineered to operate with exceptional effectiveness within it. This resilience is not accidental. It is cultivated through consistent exposure to challenge and a deeply ingrained mindset that views difficulty as an opportunity for growth. Much like a muscle that grows stronger only when stressed, the Sigma's mental and emotional fortitude is built through voluntarily facing and navigating complex, demanding situations. He has learned through experience that he possesses the inner resources to cope and to thrive, which creates a feedback loop of confidence when new pressures arise. This echoes the Stoic training of deliberately enduring hardship to build inner strength. Furthermore, the Sigma male often possesses an innate ability to detach emotionally from the immediate storm, allowing him to maintain a strategic overview even when buffeted by urgent demands. While others are swept away by the panic or the drama of the moment, he can often maintain an objective perspective, analyzing the situation, identifying leverage points, and executing his plan with a calm, almost unnerving efficiency. This capacity to remain centered amidst turmoil is a hallmark of his self-mastery. The Pressure Diamond, therefore, doesn't actively seek out turmoil or manufacture crises for the thrill of it. However, he does not shy away from environments where pressure is a given, particularly if his objectives lie within such arenas. He understands that it is often in these crucibles of intense demand that true capabilities are revealed and significant achievements are forged. He trusts his ability to not only withstand the heat but to emerge from it stronger, clearer, and more formidable than before, his resolve and focus diamond hard. 18. Nonlinear growth embrace. Society often sells a romanticized and largely false narrative of personal and professional development. A smooth, uninterrupted, upward trajectory. Progress is depicted as a straight line, a constant accumulation of successes and advancements. The Sigma male, however, inherently understands and embraces the reality of nonlinear growth. He recognizes that true mastery and significant evolution are rarely linear. Instead, they are often fractal, characterized by periods of explosive insight followed by seemingly static plateaus of integration, and even apparent regressions that paradoxically precede quantum leaps forward. He does not panic or lose faith during the fallow periods, those times when progress seems to stall, or when he feels he is treading water despite his best efforts. Unlike those who become disheartened by the absence of constant visible gains, the Sigma trusts the underlying process. He understands that these plateaus are often crucial phases of consolidation, where new skills are being deeply ingrained, knowledge is being synthesized, and his system is preparing for the next surge of development. It is the quiet work happening beneath the surface, essential for sustainable advancement. This embrace of nonlinearity also means he is not unduly discouraged by occasional setbacks or what might appear as temporary steps backward. He sees these not as failures, but as part of the natural rhythm of learning and adaptation. Sometimes a strategic retreat is necessary to gain a new perspective, or an old approach must be unlearned before a more effective one can be adopted. He views these moments as opportunities for course correction and refinement, rather than as evidence of inadequacy. This resilience is rooted in a long-term perspective, understanding that the path to mastery is a marathon, not a sprint. The Sigma is comfortable with the jagged edge of true evolution. He knows that genuine breakthroughs often follow periods of intense struggle, confusion, or even a feeling of being lost. It is in navigating these challenging phases, by persisting through the discomfort and uncertainty, that the most profound learning and growth occur. He finds purpose and extracts valuable lessons even in the seeming stillness or during a controlled descent, recognizing that all parts of the cycle contribute to the overall upward spiral of his development. By rejecting the myth of constant linear ascent, the Sigma male liberates himself from a tremendous amount of unnecessary frustration and self-criticism. He can engage with his chosen path with greater patience, perseverance, and a more realistic understanding of the organic, often unpredictable, nature of becoming his most capable self. This allows him to stay committed through the inevitable fluctuations of the journey, maintaining his focus on long-term mastery rather than short-term appearances. 19. The Anti-Tribalist. In a world increasingly fractured into tribes, echo chambers and ideological camps, the allure of belonging, of finding one's people, can be incredibly seductive. Even within communities that bill themselves as alternative, independent, or countercultural, including, paradoxically, some online spheres claiming to represent Sigma ideals, the magnetic pull of groupthink can be powerful. The true Sigma male, however, embodies the spirit of the anti-tribalist. While he may respect shared principles and strategically align with others based on mutual respect and congruent purpose, his thinking and actions remain fiercely, unshakably independent. He possesses an almost innate immunity to the intoxicating comforts of dogma and the seductive hum of the echo chamber. He understands that true intellectual sovereignty requires a constant willingness to question, to dissent, and to stand apart, even from those with whom he might share broad affinities. He can appreciate the camaraderie of like-minded individuals, but he never allows that camaraderie to supersede his own critical judgment or his personal commitment to an evolving truth. His loyalty is not to a group label, but to the rigorous application of his own reason and conscience. The anti-tribalist is adept at spotting dogma disguised as enlightenment, rhetoric masquerading as reason, and conformity parading as shared wisdom. He listens, he analyzes, he extracts what is valuable, but he refuses to outsource his thinking or to adopt a prepackaged set of beliefs, no matter how appealingly they are presented or how many others endorse them. He understands that even groups founded on principles of independence can, over time, develop their own rigid orthodoxies and subtle pressures to conform. His internal compass remains his ultimate guide. This doesn't mean he is inherently contrarian or pathologically opposed to cooperation. On the contrary, he can be a highly effective collaborator when goals align and mutual respect is present. However, his alliances are always strategic and provisional, based on current realities and shared objectives, not on blind allegiance or an emotional need for group identity. He reserves the right to diverge, to question, and to walk his own path, even if it means standing alone once more. This commitment to intellectual autonomy is a core expression of his self-reliance. Ultimately, the Sigma male's anti-tribalist stance is a bulwark against the erosion of individual thought and a testament to his profound self-trust. He navigates the social and intellectual landscape as a sovereign entity, engaging with ideas and people on his own terms, always prioritizing his own carefully considered path over the comfortable but potentially compromising embrace of any tribe. His allegiance is to the ongoing rigorous pursuit of understanding and the authentic expression of his own evolved consciousness. 20. Instinctual Cartographer. Beyond the realms of pure logic and empirical data, which the Sigma male values and utilizes with precision, lies another powerful navigational tool, a finely tuned, almost primal intuition. He is an instinctual cartographer, possessing a deep internal GPS that guides him through the often uncharted territories of life. He has learned to trust the subtle signals his body and subconscious emit, the distinct gut feeling that arises in a particular situation, the inexplicable aversion to a seemingly attractive option, the quiet but unshakable surge of certainty about a course of action. This is not a flight into irrationality or a dismissal of reasoned thought. Rather, the Sigma understands that his intuition is often the product of complex pattern recognition occurring beneath the threshold of conscious awareness. His mind, having processed countless experiences and subtle cues, sometimes delivers its conclusions not as a logical argument, but as an instinctual nudge, a felt sense. He learns to cross-reference this internal wisdom with objective data and rational analysis, but crucially he never dismisses it outright, even when it appears to contradict conventional logic or prevailing opinion. The honing of this instinctual guidance system is often a result of his comfort with solitude and his practice of deep self-awareness. In the quiet spaces he creates for himself, free from external noise, he becomes more attuned to these subtle internal currents. He learns to differentiate between true intuition and mere emotional reactivity or wishful thinking. This discernment comes from paying attention, from observing the outcomes when he follows or ignores these inner prompts, and from a courageous willingness to act on their guidance. The instinctual cartographer understands that this internal compass can often map unseen dangers or highlight hidden opportunities long before his conscious, analytical mind has pieced together all the evidence. It might warn him away from a person who, despite a charming facade, harbors ill intent. It might draw him towards an unconventional path that leads to unexpected success. This faculty allows him to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics and ambiguous situations with a grace and foresight that can seem almost uncanny to those who rely solely on explicit information. Therefore, while the Sigma male is a master of strategic thinking and logical deduction, he also honors and cultivates this more ancient, intuitive form of intelligence. He recognizes it as a vital component of his overall toolkit for navigating the world, an internal cartography service that provides invaluable insights into the hidden landscapes of human interaction and the subtle currents of unfolding reality. Trusting and intelligently integrating this instinct is key to his often remarkable ability to make sound judgments in complex and uncertain environments. 21. The Energy Economist. The Sigma male recognizes that his personal energy, his focus, his time, his emotional and mental reserves, is his most precious and finite resource. It is the fundamental currency required for all meaningful creation, impactful action, and sustained personal growth. Consequently, he operates as a meticulous energy economist, auditing his expenditures with ruthless precision and strategically investing his vitality only in high-yield endeavors that align with his core purpose and deeply held values. He understands that a misallocation of energy is a direct theft from his potential. This economic approach begins with a keen awareness of existential leaks, those people, activities, and thought patterns that consistently drain his reserves without providing commensurate value. Draining personalities who thrive on drama or negativity are systematically quarantined or excised from his life. Futile arguments that lead nowhere but to frustration are sidestepped with calm detachment. Meaningless tasks that contribute nothing to his larger objectives are delegated, automated, or simply eliminated. He is not being callous. He is being a responsible steward of his own life force. Small talk, while sometimes a social necessity, is generally minimized by the Energy Economist. He prefers conversations of substance and depth, engagements that offer genuine connection, learning, or strategic advantage. Dramatic entanglements, emotional vortexes that consume vast quantities of attention and peace, are actively avoided or skillfully disengaged from. The constant barrage of digital distractions, notifications, and superficial information is met with strong filters and disciplined consumption habits. He protects his mental bandwidth as a nation guards its gold reserves. This conscious allocation of energy allows him to deploy his focus with formidable intensity when it truly matters. When he commits to a project, a relationship, or a personal goal, he can bring the full force of his concentrated power to bear, achieving results that are often out of reach for those whose energy is scattered and diluted across a multitude of trivial pursuits. This ability to concentrate his power is a direct result of his disciplined conservation of it. His choices are deliberate: where to invest, what to ignore, when to engage fully, and when to remain disengaged. Ultimately, the Sigma male as an energy economist lives a life of intentionality, not reactivity. He understands that every yes to one thing is an implicit no to countless others. By making conscious, strategic choices about where his vital energy flows, he ensures that his life is not a haphazard series of events dictated by external demands, but a focused, purposeful journey towards the realization of his highest potential and the achievement of objectives that he himself has deemed worthy of his most valuable asset. 22. The volcanic core, controlled eruption. Beneath the often calm, observant, and seemingly placid exterior of the Sigma male lies an immense reservoir of focused power, a volcanic core of potential energy. He is not passive. He is a contained force, often operating with a deliberate restraint that can be mistaken for indifference by those who only perceive the surface. However, when circumstances align with his principles and a decisive intervention is deemed necessary, this contained energy can manifest as a controlled eruption of will, an action that is surgically precise, devastatingly effective, and frequently entirely unexpected by those around him. This immense internal power is not cultivated for the purpose of domination or indiscriminate aggression. The Sigma male understands the weight and responsibility that come with such potential. His default mode is often one of conservation, of strategic inaction, preferring to influence through subtle means, quiet competence, or the sheer force of his example. He doesn't seek conflict or confrontation, but neither does he shrink from it when it is unavoidable or when a core value is threatened. The Stoic ideal of acting vigorously and virtuously when action is called for, while maintaining inner calm, resonates deeply here. The eruption, when it occurs, is rarely an explosion of chaotic emotion. Instead, it is typically a highly focused application of energy and resources towards a specific, well-defined objective. It could be a bold strategic move in his career, a decisive action to protect someone or something he values, the dismantling of a significant obstacle, or the championing of a difficult but necessary truth. The power is channeled, not scattered, making its impact all the more potent and often irreversible. Others may be surprised by these moments of intense action precisely because the Sigma's usual demeanor is one of composed observation and measured response. They may have underestimated the depth of his resolve or the extent of his capabilities, lulled by his quiet confidence and lack of ostentatious display. This ability to shift from a state of watchful calm to decisive, powerful action is a key element of his effectiveness and his ability to shape his environment when he chooses. The volcanic core of the Sigma male is a testament to his self-mastery. He is not afraid of his own power, nor is he addicted to wielding it. He understands that true strength often lies in choosing restraint, in applying force with precision and only when truly necessary. His silence, therefore, is not an indication of absence or weakness. It is the quiet rumble of potential energy concentrated to an almost unimaginable degree, ready to be unleashed with formidable purpose when the moment demands, guided always by his intellect and his unwavering internal compass. The habits we've explored today are not a checklist for a manufactured identity, but reflections of a deeply internalized way of being, a testament to a life committed to sovereign thought and purposeful action. These are the pathways forged by men who choose substance over shadow, integrity over imitation, and self-mastery over societal script. The journey of the Sigma is one of constant refinement, of unwavering dedication to personal evolution, and it is a path that, while uniquely individual, resonates with a shared understanding of true strength and authentic living. If these principles, these explorations of a life lived with deliberate courage and unwavering self-possession, have struck a chord within you, then you've found a valuable resource here at Sigma Male Community. This channel is more than just words. It's a crucible for the ideas that empower men to forge their own destinies, to live with unshakable integrity, and to cultivate the stoic strength necessary to navigate a complex world on their own terms. We encourage you to take these insights and reflect upon them. Consider how they might apply to your own journey, what small shifts you can make today that will compound into significant strength tomorrow. To continue exploring the art of stoic living and the path of personal development tailored for the independent man, make sure you subscribe to Sigma Male Community. If you found value in this discussion, please like this video and share it with other men you know who are committed to growth, independence, and the pursuit of excellence. Don't forget to click that notification bell so you never miss out on our latest insights and guidance. Your engagement fuels this community, and your comments, your experiences, your journey, they matter. Let us know in the comments which of these habits resonated most with you, or what aspects of the Sigma path you are currently focused on cultivating. Stay strong, stay sovereign, and continue to build your world. Until next time.